The largest hedge fund in the world could soon be the United States government. President Trump's dream of a U.S. sovereign wealth fund is quickly beginning to materialize. Last week, he secured a 10% equity stake in Intel, worth an estimated $11 billion. Now he is pressing for a 15% cut from Nvidia's chip revenue from China. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick confirmed they're weighing equity stakes in defense contractors like Lockheed Martin. These deals alone would make it bigger than Citadel, the largest hedge fund in the country by assets under management. But what if this is just the beginning? Trade deals with Japan and the EU could include additional funds. Japan's proposal earmarks $550 billion to be invested in the United States at President Trump's discretion. Early talks suggested a Japanese-American investment vehicle where the U.S. would keep as much as 90% of the profits. Those assets, along with the ongoing profits, would also be part of the fund. The European Union proposed a similar deal, with $600 billion in direct investment across multiple sectors. Whether or not these deals play out like Trump hopes is yet to be seen. But if they do, they would add more than $1 trillion. These would be American assets held inside a U.S. sovereign wealth fund with all future profits flowing back in to help it grow. Now, I made a video talking about this recently, and the comments were mixed, to say the least. Some praised the idea as a step toward building wealth and paying down the debt. Others thought it's socialism, or at the very least, a slippery slope toward crony capitalism. Many of you raised valid concerns over the potential for state intervention in private business and the possibility of government contracts going to those companies who offered stock in exchange. And listen, those are real possibilities. There is a lot that would need to be ironed out. But there are also some serious upsides here. America is in grave financial trouble. And if we fail to take drastic action soon, the entire system will come crashing down. According to the Congressional Budget Office, total tax revenues will only be enough to cover defense spending and interest on our debt by 2035. And their estimates are usually optimistic. So regardless of how you feel about taxes, entitlement programs, or foreign aid, the math is the math. In 10 to 15 years, the system breaks. As the deficit gets larger, the government will print more and more money. This will cause rapid inflation. Investors will no longer see government bonds as safe investments, and interest rates will climb in response. There will be a domino effect. And once these things are in motion, it will be impossible to stop. Government spending, if left unchecked, will bring down the entire financial system inside of 20 years. America is not a wealthy nation. Politicians love to claim it is, but they just use that as justification to print money and give it to other countries around the globe. But we are, in fact, one of the poorest countries on earth. The federal government has spent more money than it took in almost every year since 1993. And as a result, we have $37.2 trillion in debt, more than $100,000 of debt for every man, woman, and child alive in this country. Only Singapore carries more debt per citizen. And just like it is for individuals, when you are over your head in debt, you have two options: spend less or make more. That's it. Many have gone to Washington with promises to spend less. President Trump brought in Elon Musk, set up a whole department dedicated to cutting waste and fraud. But at the end of it all, they once again passed a massive new spending bill. And this big, beautiful bill raised the debt ceiling by another $5 trillion overnight, which was a slap in the face to Elon Musk and his Doge team. Again, I don't care how you feel about Elon. I don't care how you feel about Trump. But this was the best chance I have ever seen for the federal government to make real and meaningful cuts to the budget. They didn't do it. And I don't think they ever will. Which leads me to the only other possibility of preventing this disaster: bringing more money in. And they could raise income taxes. I wouldn't like it. Neither would any taxpayer. And if they raised them too much, wealthy individuals would flee. It's happened in every nation that's tried. Increasing business tax rates have the same effect. Companies would gradually move their operations to other countries where they're treated better. So if we can't spend less and we cannot significantly increase our income, we're going to have to make some good investments. The U.S. government, for the trillions of dollars it spends every year, has almost no assets. Most of us invest 10 to 20% of our income for retirement. Uncle Sam doesn't. He spends it all and then some. A sovereign wealth fund would be America's 401k, a vehicle designed to build and grow wealth that one day could either pay off our mountain of debt or generate income that exceeds the interest on it. Now, is holding Nvidia's chip exports hostage to demand a 15% cut off the top the best way to go about it? Probably not. Will a 10% stake in Intel cause complications with our other domestic chip manufacturers? Without a doubt. Should the government receive a part of Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, the other military contractors? After all, more than 70% of their revenue comes from the federal government, which is your and my tax dollars. So do we deserve a piece of these multi-billion-dollar masters of no-bid contracts who have gotten filthy rich on the backs of taxpayers? Actually, this one I can kind of support. Not a big conflict for me. But I digress. If the federal government is to have any chance of building real wealth, the kind of wealth that can pay down $37 trillion in debt, it is going to have to make some big moves. Some of them will be controversial. They will make mistakes. But the moral high ground is not going to save our children when the financial markets collapse. When my son has to take out a 20% mortgage to buy a $5 million starter home, thanks to Argentinian-level inflation, I am not going to look back and say, well, at least we didn't let Trump get those Intel shares. I had Grog run a simulation based on various funding sources like the Intel deal, along with proposed foreign investments, tariff revenue, and others. Grog projects that a U.S. sovereign wealth fund could grow to $4 trillion by 2030. And this does not include equity in defense contractors or any other projected deals Trump might make. Listen, this is not the ideal way to go about it. I understand that. But the Dave Ramsey method is not going to get the job done. We need big action, big deals, game-changing ideas, no matter which side of the aisle they come from. Democrats have been screaming for years that businesses need to pay more, that they skirt the law with creative accounting to pay little or nothing in taxes. Well, if that's true, why would this be controversial? It's exactly what they asked for. Only instead of those taxes being passed down to the consumer, they'd be passed down to investors in the form of dilution. Again, I am not saying this as ideal. I'm not even saying it's a good idea, but I think it's worth a conversation. So tell me, what do you think? Is a U.S. sovereign wealth fund a good idea? How should it be structured? And what rules should there be to govern its operation? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button so these videos appear in your feed.